The wrong question.
Was that the key realization that the question was the thing?
That was a fundamental turning point.
Yeah, because that's it. So that's very interesting, because one of the things that you see constantly portrayed in redemptive hero myths across the world is that the adventure is the thing and that the search is the thing, rather than there being a final answer, as absurd as 42 might be, right? The conclusive answer is something like deep engagement in the process. So I'll give you an example of that. In the Sermon on the Mount's a very detailed set of instructions. So there's 3 parts to it. The first is aim at the highest thing that you can possibly conceive of and keep modifying that so your aim gets better. That's number 1. Number 2 is make the presumption that other people have the same intrinsic value as you do.
Well, we have to be careful about that one.
Okay, well, let's discuss that. But it's a, what would you say? It's a recognition of the universalist value of everyone who's made in the image of God. It's something like that. But the third thing is, once you do those 2 things, you can concentrate on the moment. See, and that seems to be, even technically, you can think about this neuropsychologically. If you're looking for meaning, meaning is a form of incentive reward. And incentive reward is dopaminergically mediated. And incentive reward occurs in relationship to advancement towards a goal, which is a form of entropy minimization, as it turns out, according to Carl Friston, who knows this sort of thing.
Entropy is the ultimate boss battle.
Right. Well, negative emotion signifies the emergence of entropy, and positive emotion on the dopaminergic side signals its reduction. But there's something that's more complex there, because the higher the goal that you're trying to attain, the more intrinsic value each step towards it comprises, and that's neuropsychologically accurate. It's part of the wisdom of the Sermon on the Mount is that if you posit the highest imaginable goal, then any step towards it that captures your attention is also deeply meaningful. And so that's an answer to what the meaning is of process, rather than, say, something like 42. And you said, it seems to me that you were intimating that your discovery through atoms, that the question was the thing, was key to the resolution of your existential crisis.
That's correct.
So that's part of the reason that you're motivated to, say, build Grok 3 and look deeper.
To understand.
Yeah.
To understand the universe.
Okay, so how old were you when you figured out that the question...
13 or something.
What did that do to you? What did that do to you?
Well, I was a lot happier after that. Because now, okay, well, I'm just going to accept that we are ignorant of a great many things, and we wish to be less ignorant, and anything we can do that will improve our understanding of the universe and make us less ignorant and have a deeper understanding of the universe, and even more questions to ask about the answer that is the universe, which is, I think, Adam's central point, is good.
And that was good enough to resolve that crisis.
It was for me at least.
Yeah.
And so, like, is this a religion? I don't know, maybe it is. But I think it's a good one. I'd call it the religion of curiosity.
Well, the ancient god of the Mesopotamians, his name was Marduk, and he was the best defense against ensuing chaos and state corruption. So that's how he was conceptualized. Marduk had eyes all the way around his head because he paid attention. Right, and he spoke magic words. Right, and he was literally, for the Mesopotamians, he was the agent that revitalized the tyrannical state and overcame evil, and also the force that dispensed with chaos and built something magnificent and cosmic out of it. Right. So, yeah.
Sounds like a force for good.
Yeah. Well, in the Mesopotamian emperor, his job was to embody that spirit on earth, and they used to take him out of the city on New Year's Eve, strip him of his kingly clothing, humiliate him. They slapped him, the priests, and then they'd ask him to confess all the ways that he hadn't been a good Marduk, attentive and speaking properly in the previous year. And that's how they renewed the cosmos every year. And that's our New Year celebration, is a derivation of that. Out with the old and in with the new. And the Egyptians, they worshipped the eye, right? You've seen that famous eye.
The all-seeing eye of Horus.
The all-seeing eye of Horus. That's the antidote to the eye of Sauron, by the way. Right, because if you don't use that vision, if each citizen doesn't use that vision, it's replaced by the totalitarian all-seeing eye. Right. So that's a hell of a thing to know. Okay, so that's cool. So I wondered, I see, because I wondered what's motivated you, because you push in so many directions simultaneously. You have to be really highly motivated to do that. And so you figured out that the question in a sense, was the answer.
Yeah. The question is, or said another way, that seeking greater enlightenment and a better understanding of the universe and what questions to ask about it is something that we can continue to do as a civilization for a very long time.
Yeah, likely forever.
Right. Exactly.
Depending on how powerful Grok turns out to be.
Yeah. So that's, then I thought, okay, I'll work on things that improve our understanding of the universe. I know now they say, like, at a base level, well, this is why I actually think we want a population increase, because population increase means that there are more people, that we've expanded scale.
More brains, man.
Yeah, we've expanded the scale of consciousness to the degree there are different cultures. We've expanded the scope of consciousness, so that there's.
Okay, I read something here. I talked to this gentleman who done a biography of Marx, and he went and looked at Marx's poetry and drama that he wrote before he wrote the Communist Manifesto, and he found out something very interesting. He found out that Marx's favorite quote from Goethe was a statement by Mephistopheles. It's a very specific statement, and it's a very key statement. Mephistopheles' motivation, so Lucifer's motivation, is predicated on this argument. It said, consciousness is nothing but consciousness of pain and misery. Life is short and brutal and pointless. Therefore, it would be better if consciousness itself was eradicated.
Sounds like Hobbes.
Yeah. Well,
I had a little Yorkshire Terrier who was nasty, brutish, and short. Right. So I named him Hobbes.
Perfect. Well, I think it's even deeper than Hobbes, because Hobbes seemed to understand that life without social order would degenerate into that. But the Mephistophelian credo is that consciousness itself is an evil that should be eradicated because it produces suffering. And that was Marx's favorite. It is the very definition of crazy, right? It's the definition of the adversarial spirit. Now, your hypothesis, your axiom, let's say, is that that's wrong and that consciousness should be. So then we say, so why should consciousness be expanded if it's nothing but consciousness of suffering? And your answer
that's obviously false.
Okay, well, not so obvious. Lots of people suffer, like lots of people are suicidal and nihilistic, and you had that crisis of faith, let's say, when you were 11 or 12, an existential crisis, but you resolved it.
Meaning of life crisis.
Right.
No, I think it's just obviously false that people, while there are people who are very sad, there are people also who are very happy, and we go through sad and happy moments. Every human being does. So it's an absurd and obviously false statement that life is merely suffering.
Yes.
That's just a ridiculously false statement.